I recently saw a statistic that said 60% of all playtime put in by gamers in the year of 2024 was on games that are 6 years or older. Now, if you've been a part of the Kraken crew for a bit, I'm talking to you, then you know I like me some old games, okay? You know, I'm talking, I don't know, it's been a while since I've uploaded a video, but you know what I'm trying to say. But this got me thinking of a little game you've probably never heard of, called Battlefield. You have heard it? Shut the fuck up. I was introduced to Battlefield through a little gaming channel called Chaboy and various other trolling videos made on Battlefield 3 back in the day. After watching a bunch of these trolling videos, I convinced my mom to bring me to Hastings for my birthday. If you remember Hastings, you've reached UNC status. Congratulations. I don't even know if that shit's still open, but whatever. When I got to Hastings, I found a copy of Battlefield 3 Premium Edition, and it was only $30. And if I remember correctly, the cover said it had an $100+ value, so I figured I had to get this one. And with that came the birth of my love for the Battlefield series. Oh, did I not know how disappointed I would be in about 12 years. But this overall got me thinking about the fact that maybe we were too harsh on Battlefield 2042. Maybe it's gotten better. I mean, it has, but how much better has it gotten? And maybe Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2042 are now around the same level of good gaming as each other. And what other way to guide this theory than a system I have created and conjured myself called the tier list. This stuff is going to be revolutionary. Trust me, I think it'll catch on pretty soon. So I'm going to pit these two games building blocks against each other and see who has the better game. Now, it's no secret that Battlefield 2042's launch was probably worse than the Space Shuttle Challenger. Whenever I said it was a dumpster fire, that's probably an understatement. It was more like an orphanage was on fire. It's more like that. It's more like my favorite game series of all of gaming was just being thrown into a fucking fire and just stomped on, and all the kids were coming out. It's like, ah! You know, that's kind of how it felt. That's what it was. It sucked. But at least we forget. Battlefield 4's launch was pretty fucking terrible too. Had stuff like a terrible campaign, not being able to be put on the same team as your friends when you're joining each other. That was actually a pretty big problem. It still kind of is. Glitches. A lot of fucking glitches. And constant crashing.
Are you fucking serious?
Only if this guy knew, right? If all that sounds pretty familiar, it's because the same exact problems were in 2042. Except this time there were a metric shit ton more bugs. Stuff like not being able to revive teammates or your gun just straight up not working. Now, looking at this logically, the argument could be made that EA is actually a pretty big company now, probably bigger than they were whenever Battlefield 4 released. They probably should have learned from these mistakes and fixed them, but as we all know, I guess that doesn't apply to EA because they're the worst company in America. And I'm not joking. They were voted worst company in America right here. Look right here. Twice. It's 2 times. 2-time champion right here. I guess that's not the only 2-time champion that appeals to kids, you know what I'm saying? With that information, I'm going to have to put Battlefield 2042 in the they hit the fucking Pentagon tier and Battlefield 4 in F tier because they weren't as big of a company and your guns at least worked whenever Battlefield 4 released. But I actually pre-ordered Battlefield 4 and it came in the mail sticky. The disc was sticky, like the warehouse workers or the EA representatives were using it as a fucking glory hole before they sent it to me. And whenever I put it in my Xbox, because I'm just a dumb kid and I thought, hey, maybe the disc is just holding on to some of the information. Maybe that's the new way to keep all that info and all that data on that disc. It actually just ended up fucking up my Xbox 360, so I'm still a little butthurt over that. Next, we will talk about innovation. Now, if I'm being unbiased, Battlefield 4 didn't innovate very much from Battlefield 3, and that's just the facts. Shit was basically the same game with better graphics and a worse campaign. Battlefield 2042, however, it did innovate a lot. We got more players. We went from 64 to 124, 28, I think, I don't remember. We got specialists. That's pretty cool, right? This is a good, the kids are gonna love this one. And we got the actually good edition of the T system, allowing you to edit your weapon loadout on the fly. You also have portal mode, and TBH, I'm gonna have to slide Battlefield 4's innovation into the Pentagon tier, because Battlefield 24 is going into S tier for innovation. There's just a lot of things that they did add. As much as you might hate them, they tried something new, and that's all they can really do sometimes, okay? Next, we're going to be talking about the community, the thing that can kill your game or keep it alive way past its expiration date, something like Helldivers 2. We're going to be starting with Battlefield 4's community. And if you're nearing Unk status like me, then you'll remember stuff like Battlefield Friends. We also had the chat system. I know that there's a chat system in Battlefield 2042, but it is definitely not the same. A Battlefield 4 all-chat server looks more like if you were in a Call of Duty server, and instead of them being able to yell racial slurs at you, they just type it out really mean. It's a really good time. But the server could add special messages if you were to, say, go on a kill streak. Speaking of servers having custom messages, we actually had custom servers. You actually had a little channel server banner at the bottom of the screen. And they were pretty cool, because 9 times out of 10, you're just looking at some softcore porn. We also had crazy Easter eggs that the community would have to get together and solve. Or stuff like the Megalodon on Paracel Storm. Look at that guy. Now if we transition over to the Battlefield 2042 community. The fuck is everybody? Oh, there's something over there. Oh, it's just someone on Reddit saying that the game is trash. All in all, Battlefield gets an S tier for community. 2042 is going to go to F tier. It's not like there's not people playing, but because there is a lot of people playing, but I don't think there's a lot of people who are going out of their way to be like, man, this fucking game is, I'm going to stand up for this game. You know, it's just not really there. On to sound design. There are many subsections of sound design though, so I'm going to break it down for you real quick. We got voice acting, we got weapon sounds, and we got music. That's pretty much it.
Then light me up!
Atmosphere is huge in a game. And let's just say the voice acting in Battlefield 4 is god tier. 2042 hit the fucking Pentagon twice with this one, okay? There's 2 airplanes in that bitch now. No questions asked. Just go ahead and put that there and put Battlefield up here. Alright, let me explain. In Battlefield 4, the screaming and shouting of soldiers is enough to make me bust a fat load into these gym shorts right here. Just thinking about it gets my dick hard. One of my favorite things to do in Battlefield 4 is literally just sit back and listen. It's what a battlefield should sound like. And I'm not just talking about a game battlefield, like in a war. It sounds like a war. It sounds like chaos. And that's what it should sound like, because it's war. And I know 2042 had some bad voice acting. EA actually somewhat listened to the player base for once and fixed it. Kinda. I will say, I think the voice acting still isn't very good, but it's not as terrible as it was. There's only so much you can do for these guys, man. I mean, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that?
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Moving on to weapon sounds. And this is one thing that I think 2042 actually does pretty well. I was looking back at the footage, and I'm just going to save you all the yapping, because I don't even agree with it anymore. I looked back at some actual gameplay, and 2042's sound design is still pretty ass. The guns sound alright. I'm going to put it in mid tier, and then Battlefield 4 is in like A tier. Yeah. This is something I can pretty confidently say that both games are pretty bad at, and that's the music. Both Pentagon status. They're both Pentagon status. Just throw it, that's just how it needs to be. Like 2042's soundtrack sounds like some dying whales. It makes me feel like I'm about to be watching the fucking Deadliest Catch or something. It doesn't make me feel like I'm about to play a Battlefield game. It feels like I'm fishing with the Japanese Navy or something. Both of these games actually still look amazing.
Secure Sector Delta.
Down to one!
I remember seeing graphics comparisons back in the day where it would show Call of Duty next to Battlefield, and those side-by-sides always made me think, like, how can video games look any better? Both, I mean, honestly, you could put Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 2042 side-by-side, and I'd say that they still look relatively pretty good. I mean, considering the age for Battlefield 4 and how new Battlefield 2042 is, like, both of them look pretty fucking good. I'm gonna give both of these an S tier. They're going to S tier, both of them. Just throw them in there. And yet again, gameplay isn't just a simple yes or no, so I'd like to break it down into two parts: movement and gunplay. What was I saying? Oh yeah, movement. Battlefield 4's movement is amazing. The movement in Battlefield 4 is very rigid, but once you learn how the movement mechanics work, you will be absolutely shitting on people who don't know how it works. Having good movement in Battlefield 4 is almost as important as having good movement in Counter-Strike. And I'd almost argue that they're about on the same level of difficulty. You have to have a real feel of how your character moves around and the time between jumping and spacing it out well and all that kind of good stuff. Having good movement is definitely a skill-based thing in Battlefield 4, and it feels really good whenever you actually are able to nail it down. 2042 also has great movement, but unlike Battlefield 4, it doesn't take as much skill. It's more accessible and easier to use, which is a good thing for casual players, so I can see the vision there, and it molds itself into this pretty smooth experience all around. They have been building off this movement system since Battlefield 5. The one thing I kind of wish that they would have brought back is the crouch sprinting. I don't know why they ever got rid of that, but it's gone now. Not that big of a deal, but still pretty good movement all around. Both games get an S tier for movement. Gunplay is pretty much the same thing. In Battlefield 4, there is definitely a learning curve due to a little feature called Bloom. Bloom basically means as you shoot, your weapon spread gets less and less tight until your weapon is basically unusable, and you might as well start throwing your fucking helmet at them. But learning how many bullets you can dump out of your gun and land them accurately per weapon is part of the learning curve of Battlefield 4. Once you understand those mechanics and know when to stop firing, let your weapon reset, and then start beaming them again, it just feels that much better whenever you're able to land a kill. To a newcomer, this can feel like your bullets just aren't really working, and some people might even give up and say that it's just not for them. 2042 has a more streamlined version of this system. It still has Bloom, but it's not nearly as bad, especially as it was at launch. I think that was the main problem at launch, is there was too much Bloom on the weapons and it just kind of made them unusable. But now they've fixed it, which is nice, and I'm going to give them credit where credit's due. They fixed it, and now it feels pretty great. And pair that with the movement system, in my opinion, they're both pretty good. One is just catered towards a more casual player, and one's catered towards a more stay-at-home kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? I would put Battlefield 4's gameplay at a solid tier A and 2042's at S tier. I only put Battlefield 4's. We also have vehicles. I didn't really write anything in my script about this, but I'm kind of just now thinking about it. Vehicles in 2042 kind of suck dick. I'm not gonna lie. They're pretty bad because you have so many... Anybody can have a launcher, a weapon launcher, whatever. It just is so bad. Like, another reason, you know what, now that I think about it, a really good reason why Battlefield 4's gunplay gets put lower is because of that stupid fucking battle pack system. At the end of the day, I think the games are actually pretty evenly matched. I just think that the main thing that killed 2042 was the corporate greed of EA. If you made it this far in the video, I'm going to give you a little Easter egg. If I say smash that like button, I'm pretty sure the like button does a little, it does a little thing. It's pretty cool. You just got to go look at it. Maybe you got to click it a couple times. Maybe you got to subscribe for it to happen. If you like, comment, and share this video, I will give away one of these socks I'm wearing. You can have one of these nice, cool Nike socks. Just for you. But, sorry I don't upload more often, guys. I have a job outside of this. But I do have a video coming down the pipeline. I just have a pretty bad obsession with perfecting a video. This one is definitely not going to be perfect. It's going to be pretty trash, probably. But I'm also trying something new, and I'll just iron out the details on the next video. It's a Max Payne 3 video. It's actually just all the Max Payne games. It's like a history over all of them. So if you're interested in that, hit that like button. And if you're not interested in that, comment what you would like me to do. I'll do anything. I will literally do anything. Just please subscribe. Anyway. I'll see you guys later. You guys have an awesome day.